Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're taking a really fascinating macro to micro journey. We're going to dive into how massive, high-level geopolitical shifts, the kind happening at the very top of global power structures, actually ripple all the way down into regional security, domestic politics, and yep, even our local society. It's a pretty wild look at just how deeply interconnected our world truly is. Here's a quick look at our roadmap for today. We're going to start with global tensions and diplomacy, then explore Pakistan's evolving regional role. From there, we'll hit global incidents and human rights, bring it home with domestic politics and security, and wrap up with society, sports, and entertainment. Let's just get right into it.
Section 1. Global Tensions and Diplomacy. We're starting with the highest stakes imaginable.
Okay, let's actually look at the incredibly frantic 24-hour window that just played out behind closed doors during the recent US-Iran standoff. Talk about a ticking clock, right? At hour 0, the U.S. military was literally ordered to prepare for a full strike on short notice. But incredibly, by hour 12, direct interventions from Gulf state leaders, specifically the Saudi Crown Prince, the Emir of Qatar, and the UAE president, completely shifted the trajectory. They pushed hard for diplomacy, mostly to prevent catastrophic damage to the region's energy infrastructure. And it worked. By hour 24, the strike was delayed by 2 to 3 days to allow for negotiations.
So what we're looking at here is a stark, almost unyielding contrast between the two sides. It's like two immovable objects. On one side, you've got firmly drawn U.S. red lines. Iran absolutely cannot acquire nuclear weapons, and if talks fail, well, all military options are squarely on the table. But then on the other side, you have Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian's unwavering stance. Entering into dialogue does not in any way mean surrendering their national rights or dignity.
And as tensions really started to peak, Iranian air defenses were fully activated in areas like Kesht and Isfahan. Officials from the IRGC Katama Anbiya Brigade even delivered this pretty stern warning, basically declaring that the Iranian nation's iron will would force any rival to retreat and surrender. It just makes it absolutely clear that we are watching a region balancing on a total knife edge.
Moving right along to Section 2, Pakistan's evolving regional role. Let's see how those massive global power shifts translate into rapid regional diplomacy.
Now, all of these global tensions have triggered an absolute flurry of diplomatic activity. Look at how Pakistani leaders are juggling multiple fronts at once to try and keep things stable. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif is coordinating peace efforts with the Qatari Prime Minister while simultaneously hashing out infrastructure deals with a Chinese envoy and the AIIB president. At the exact same time, Interior Minister Muhsin Naqvi rushed over to Tehran to meet with the Iranian foreign minister right in the middle of those U.S. strike threats. Honestly, it's a real-time masterclass in multi-vector diplomacy.
Meanwhile, to really put some numbers to these shifting power dynamics, check this out. $198.2 million. That is the size of the Apache helicopter support deal for India that the U.S. State Department just approved, and that's sitting right next to a separate $30 million howitzer agreement.
And, well, the friction from those military balances is pretty palpable. In direct response to recent threats from the Indian Army chief, Pakistan's Defense Minister Khwaja Asif issued this incredibly severe warning on the program Capital Talk. It is a stark, unavoidable reminder of the constant danger and friction that exists in South Asia, right alongside everything happening in the Middle East.
Let's zoom out a bit for Section 3, Global Incidents and Human Rights.
Because these macro geopolitical tensions, they frequently spill over into international human rights issues. Take the Freedom Flotilla, for example. We can track their journey right here. It kicked off with a 50-boat convoy leaving Marmaris, Turkey on Thursday trying to get aid to Gaza. But the timeline comes to a dead stop on Monday. That's when Israeli forces intercepted the flotilla in international waters, about 40 nautical miles off the coast, detaining over 100 activists and taking them to Ashdod. As you might guess, this has drawn some intense international scrutiny.
Now, among those detained was prominent Pakistani activist Saad Edhi, son of Faisal Edhi. In a pre-recorded plea, he delivered a pretty heavy message. He said, "If the world is watching this video, it means Israel has arrested us, and it is the Pakistan government's responsibility to bring us back." This immediately sparked heavy condemnation from Pakistan's Human Rights Commission. They are demanding strict adherence to international humanitarian laws and the safe return of the aid workers.
But it's not just the Middle East. We are tracking simultaneous waves of volatility across the globe. From a truly horrific, suspected Islamophobic hate crime at a Chicago mosque that left 3 people dead, to a sudden, deadly shooting at a restaurant in southern Turkey. And then over on the economic front, the U.S. Treasury just had to make a move to stabilize wild energy markets, issuing a 30-day license to access stranded Russian oil. The whole global landscape is just fracturing and shifting in real time.
All right, bringing it back home. Section 4, domestic politics and security.
Because while the government is busy navigating all those complex foreign alliances we just talked about, things are highly charged domestically. There's some intense political gridlock happening right now. The 28th Amendment, which proposes bringing Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan into the tax net, is delayed by a good 10 to 15 days as the coalition tries to scrape together a consensus. Meanwhile, opposition leaders Bilawal Bhutto and Mahmoud Achakzai are mobilizing nationwide Friday protests over the treatment of opposition parties and the PTI founder's health. Add in Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif heading to Quetta for a crucial security meeting, plus a massive 3-year financial audit ordered for all 240 union councils in Karachi, and yeah, you're looking at a country dealing with some serious internal friction.
But amidst all that political noise, we do see some direct economic action. The Khyber Pakhtunkhwa government just stepped up for its citizens, announcing they're buying 25,000 tons of wheat out of their own provincial resources. They've locked in a price of 3,500 rupees per mond, which is a big move to try and stabilize local food supplies.
Down on the very local level, authorities are honestly just stretched to the limit. In Karachi, they just nabbed a notorious cocaine supplier known as Pinky, which is exposing a massive buyer network. We're also following a really tragic hit-and-run, where a suspect driving an SUV with fake government plates is currently on the run. Over in Mir Prakash, there's a highly concerning situation where armed men brutally abducted 3 girls, reportedly in retaliation for a relative's love marriage. Oh, and all of this is unfolding while disaster management teams are out there battling severe weather and infrastructure damage in Malakand and AJK. It's a lot. Finally, let's pivot to a slightly lighter tone. Section 5, Society, Sports, and Entertainment. 437. Wow, that is the massive historic run target Pakistan has to chase down against Bangladesh in their latest test match. If they actually pull this off, they will absolutely shatter the previous 418-run test cricket record that the West Indies set against Australia. Literally, the entire nation is glued to the pitch right now.
We also have to highlight some pretty incredible international recognition. Ambassador Khalil Hashmi just made history as the very first Pakistani to win the Best Diplomat medal over in China. In the U.S., Dr. Asif Mahmood became the first Asian to be reappointed to the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. And of course, Nobel laureate Malala Yousafzai recently spoke at the World Education Forum, powerfully championing the resilience of young girls trying to get an education in conflict zones like Palestine, Lebanon, and Afghanistan.
And just to wrap up the micro-level news on a fun note, if you're looking for something to watch, Geo News is dropping a visually stunning, exclusive documentary exploring China's modern lifestyle, airing May 19th through the 21st. Plus, for all you moviegoers out there, the hype is real for the Eid al-Adha release of the new thriller, Psycho, which has a powerhouse cast including Sean, Mira, and Sanya Hassan.
So, from halted missile strikes in the Middle East to the price of your local wheat, right down to the films playing at your neighborhood cinema, the macro really does become the micro, doesn't it? As these global tectonic plates continue to shift, the ultimate question we have to ask ourselves is this: are our local systems resilient enough to weather the ripples coming our way tomorrow? Thanks so much for joining me on today's Explainer. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll catch you next time.